Thanks for making it.
Hi there.
Just waiting for it to go live on YouTube.
It's going to be a little bit, it's not working for some reason.
Bummer. Okay. And that's on YouTube, or is it Facebook, or?
That's on YouTube. So it's recording now. So we can put the recording up onto YouTube, but I'm going to try it right now.
All right. Sounds good. Hi, Aaron.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good.
So I think we will get started since it is recording, and hopefully Jesse will be able to figure out the live stream element of it. But good afternoon, everyone. I'm Karen Fassell. And actually, Aaron, you should be doing this. I forgot because I was communications committee. I was all mixed up.
I was going to turn it right over to you anyway. So good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining us. I apologize for the delays, but we're up and going now. Before we turn this over to the communication committee, I did want to see if there were any changes to the agenda today. Looks like
No.
none. Okay. And our communications committee has been meeting and talking about ways to improve our marketing and outreach to people. And I'd like to turn it over to the chair of the communications committee, Karen Fassell, at this point, and let her fill us in on what's been going on.
Thank you, Aaron. So we've had sort of a long-standing idea that MRC is in need of some additional education and outreach to our members. And we felt like this is a very good time with the transition to the plant reopening and that timeline marching closer for us to begin this effort to sort of work on better marketing and outreach to the communities that we live in and to our members and potential members, a broad array of folks to help them understand what our organization is about, what the plant is going to do for this region and for the state, and to help folks just have a better understanding of solid waste issues in general and what MRC and the plant brings to that conversation, and do a little bit of image enhancement and better public relations than we have been doing in the past. So many thanks to our executive director, Mike Carroll, for making this happen. He worked a line item into the budget so that we have some funding available to dedicate to this task. And he also did a lot of groundwork with our folks from Haley Ward who have been helping us with communications to sort of figure out, put together a like a scope or something like that to put out to various design and marketing firms for them, their consideration. And we had two firms provide very detailed proposals to MRC for works that would take place over the course of what we're anticipating to be at least a couple of years. The communications committee had an opportunity to hear in-person presentations from both of those firms. And today we are going to discuss, hear from the firm that the communications committee selected or is recommending to the larger board, and hear from her, and we can discuss and ask questions. And then if we're in agreement that this seems like what we want to do, I think we're considering action to enable Mike to move forward with development of a contract and those sorts of things. So with that, I think I would like to introduce Jess Massey from Design Lab out of Millinocket. who was the firm that rose to the top in the presentations and that the communications committee was very impressed with. And I want to thank the communications committee who was all there in person, as well as actually Bob Butler, who joined us and participated in the process. So we had a very robust discussion about what we were hoping for and what we'd like to see, and talked about both of the firms and feel like Design Lab would be a good fit. So I'd love to hear a little overview from you, Jess, and can share your thoughts and ideas with the board and other folks that are listening online.
Well, thank you, Karen, for that introduction. I'm really happy to be here. I'm Jess Massey, partner at Design Lab, and I apologize for my voice today. I have a head cold, and so I'm going to keep this short. So you guys are in luck. I won't talk on too much, but I would like to share my screen, and I'll do a very quick overview. I'm just going to share a couple of slides to kind of give you a visual of our approach. And then I'd love to, hear any questions you guys have about our plan. So let me share this. Can you all see the screen okay? Yeah? Okay. I'm just going to roll forward. This is the same presentation I gave to the communication committee, but I'm just going to go through the first few slides. As I mentioned, my firm is Design Lab. We do a whole basket of marketing and communication services. From developing television commercials to managing social media to branding, to writing press releases, the whole kit. And so as we move forward, we plan to leverage all of the assets and all of the skills that we offer within our firm to accomplish MRC's goals, branding and marketing goals. We have a pretty robust approach to branding and marketing. I won't go through each element in this slide, but we spend a lot of effort on understanding your goals and understanding the organization. And from that plan and from those goals, we develop a strategy and tactics. There's the marketing side of things, and then there's the branding side of things. And I'll go through that a little bit more. Our plan, we sketched out a 2-year plan in our proposal. We're going to be really busy the first 6 months. During the first 6 months, we have to do all of the research and discovery, so we understand the organization. We'll do a situation analysis to understand who your market is, what your goals are, your strengths and your weaknesses, your competitive advantage. All of those things go into the situation analysis. And then we do plan to spend some time with focus groups made of your stakeholders, an analysis of that research. And, pending what we find out there, a new name and brand could be on the agenda for the first 6 months. I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. I'm working from home because I have this cold, but unfortunately my pets are in the house. So we have, within that first 6 months, I apologize for that. I'm going to put him outside. I'll be right back.
Jesse, I'm not sure if there's anything you can do. I think Bob's having trouble with audio.
All right, let him back in.
I'm back in. Sorry.
Okay.
I had to restart.
Okay.
Don't worry. Ignore me, please.
Jesse, were you able to get it up on YouTube?
No, trying to figure it out. It's all the Zoom settings are correct, but I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so the first 6 months, while we're doing the situation and analysis and the focus group and all of that work, we also plan to maybe rehabilitate is too strong of a word, but we want to make sure we're getting out in front. of public perception, especially if there will be a rebrand. And so we plan to make sure that there's a good plan in place for issuing press releases, for keeping the public and your constituency informed on all of the good things that are happening with your partners and with the work going on in Hamden. And so there will be a lot of public facing communication in that first 6 months, whether it's through email campaigns or letters or communication with elected officials. There will be a lot going on that front as well. So depending on whether or not there's a new brand, and that really will be up to MRC, but we'll give you the data and the information that you need to make the best decision. From like 6 months to 12 months, we'll be developing those public facing communication assets. So social media, web, all of your materials that the public will interact with. And then the second year, well, between 6 and 24 months, we will implement the marketing plan that we develop in the first year to reintroduce, really, whether it's MRC or a new name to its members and potential new members, because as I understand it, one of your goals is to expand the number of main towns and cities that you have within your organization. And so our approach, we have these 5 buckets, and I won't go too far beyond this, but I just want to briefly describe what's in each of these 5 buckets. We'll have a retainer contract in place. We don't know at this moment, when we designed the proposal, we don't know all the things that MRC will need or what the optimum plan is going to be. And so the retainer is a flexible arrangement with our firm to give you access to all of the things that we offer within our organization. So whether it's social media or writing, press releases, developing newsletters, graphic design, banners, I mean, anything you need that we produce in-house, excuse me, is covered within that retainer. The second bucket is web. It's pretty self-explanatory. We'll use all of we'll use the information that we discovered during the situation analysis to make sure that the web is helping you put your best foot forward to the public. And also provide useful information to your membership. The third bucket is social media. And that'll be ongoing communication with the public. Hopefully we'll make it fun, we'll make it engaging, and we'll be able to expand the footprint of your social media impact. The fourth bucket is video and photography. A well-placed video can go really far to telling your story and engaging people. And great photography is obviously really important when you're developing advertisements, sending out newsletters, and telling your story. And then the fifth bucket is external costs. So for example, if you guys do rebrand, you'll need new signage, you might have some advertising costs. Anything that's beyond, the work that we can do in-house, those would be considered external costs. So in summary, those 5 buckets really contain the focal areas for the campaign over the next 2 years. I'm happy to stop talking. I'm struggling here with all this congestion, but happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you want any more information on any of these buckets or anything specific, please let me know. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Jess. I appreciate it, especially when you're not feeling so hot.
I'm really sorry about that.
Mike, maybe if you could just talk a little bit from your perspective about the timeline. I know Jess talked about the 6 months and 6 to 12 months, but sort of practically speaking, if we were to move forward, what are we looking at for the first step, and when would that happen? Is it going to be like next month? Is it going to be maybe, middle of the summer, or is it gonna be later, more like fall? What are you thinking? Are you on mute if you're talking?
So like it was mentioned, the proposals for structure is a work in progress over the next 24 months. We're gonna immediately focus on initial constant contact communication, facility progress, MRC updates and press releases. And then the rehabilitation of the MRC mission and organization. I think there's an immediate need to start that now, especially where the big engineer kickoff is happening in a couple of weeks, where all 10 engineers will be in the facility, and then DEP will be in to walk around the facility to show them any, to make sure as we fill out for the permit changes or anything within the permits or add-ons, we'll call them bolt-ons, that they're okay with everything. So I think we should start the communication piece off right away. But then while that happens, the in the background, much long-term will be setting up. I'll be providing information of board members and members that have been with us a long time that are local members, and like George consulted for them to set up focus group meetings to start talking about who the MRC is and a possible rebranding and the name change. It's implement these incentives gradually and in sync with the timeline leading up to waste hitting the floor, I think is what we're working on. We're gonna communicate. And then as we get much closer to waste hitting the floor, steadily, like 300 ton, 200 ton a day, getting to that 400 ton, we have the website and branding ready to go in the background as we get much closer to do that. So I think it starts immediately. And I think 10 to 12 months from now, we're looking at having, websites and everything rolled out. It is what I'm thinking.
Thanks. So does anybody have any questions for Jess or for Mike about this? I can't see everybody, so you're just gonna have to pipe up.
We can probably stop sharing the screen if we need to.
I
that
do
you,
have a
Bob?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the approach you take to your target audience on something like this going to be more an emotional connection or more a rational connection?
Part of what we'll find out from the stakeholder meetings is what's important to your stakeholders. And so I'm guessing if you're, and again, there's a lot of research that has to be done before we can say anything solid, but if you're dealing with town managers and city managers and folks working with the nuts and bolts of managing a government, it's probably going to be, we're going to have to focus on the benefits of, efficiency, affordability, how it relates to their budget, how we can make things easier for them. It'll probably be a rational appeal, but you can wrap that in emotion, especially with the video. You can make people feel connected to a deeper purpose while satisfying their rational needs as a city manager or town manager, or anyone working in municipal government. And we've worked with a lot of municipal governments. They're very practical, and just want the most efficient solution that makes their job easier and will get the least amount of pushback from their public. Because a lot of times that's what it comes down to, right? I mean, hopefully we can create a video and materials that these folks can then use with their constituency as well. That's the best case scenario.
Thank you. I appreciate the answer.
You're welcome.
Tony?
Rebranding and a new name, that's not been decided upon yet, has it? Or did I miss a meeting?
No, Tony, it has not been decided. That's part of the focus groups and meeting with all the stakeholders that's part of this process.
Okay, because I think I don't want to be accused of, hey, look, it's the same group with a different name.
Mhm.
You know, as you know, over the years, we've taken a severe beating, making the rounds, visiting the towns, accused of a lot of things. And I don't want to be accused of changing the name, putting a different suit on the same entity.
That's why we're gonna work so hard in that first 6 months to help the MRC brand. So that if there is a rebrand 6 months or a year from now, people are feeling good about MRC. And understand that a rebrand is part of an evolution of the brand promise, not just the organization itself. Like, what are you promising people, and what are the good things that you're doing for the community?
Mhm.
That alone is gonna go a long way to rehabilitating your brand.
Being a cynic, what are the good things? We will be accused of telling them, hey, look, it's the same pig in a poke. You know, we've been hearing the same stuff. There's still a lot of doubters out there about the MWS. And I've been involved with getting away from Perk and into Hamden right from the get-go.
Yeah.
And again, if I sound cynical, it's probably because I am a little bit, but that doesn't hurt.
Well, you know, what you say is a great reminder to all of us, right? Because you can brand and market all day long, but if you're not delivering
Hmm.
as an
Right.
organization, then it's all for naught. So ideally, when we help with a rebrand or a marketing campaign, we're working with an organization or a business that can deliver on their brand promise. And that makes all of our jobs a lot easier.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Tony,
Thank you.
that's why the timing is going to be so important in terms of making sure the plant is meeting its milestones, and that we
Mhm.
want to time our rollout and messages to match that. We don't want to get ahead of
Oh,
it,
yes.
and we don't want to be far behind. So it's a little bit of a chicken and an egg thing, I think. But I think it's better to
Mhm.
start it
Yep.
early and have to slow things down on our side if the plant is not, meeting, if we're not matched up,
Oh, yeah.
but that's
Yep, I
where
agree.
hopefully you have like your expertise, Jess, and your firms can help us make sure we're doing that, matching
Yeah.
that correctly.
Great point, Karen. I mean, the timing is so important because, it's better to underpromise than overpromise, because once you lose credibility, it's really hard to get that back. And then people are just going to ignore the press releases because they're going to be like, that didn't happen or this didn't happen. So we want to make sure that the timing is right.
And I think out of fairness, everybody should know, we originally reached out to 4 firms several months ago, probably started this back in February. And Tony, we were trying to be very mindful of explaining the whole process, who the MRC is, everything we've been through, and made sure that, the firms that we reached out could understood all that and could do everything that we needed them to do. So this has been an ongoing process to get to this point.
I have a question, actually. The group that I'll be working with, is that the communication committee that I met with? Or will it be a smaller group or the full board?
Can I answer that? So I think what we're normally used to is a lot of the legwork will be done between you and I, and will involve Jessie because she has a lot of the history. But when we get to, like, I like to put options on the table for the board. So because they all have, this is a 9 volunteer positions that all have full-time job. So I try to get most of the legwork done and then just lay what the options look like out for them, and that's when we would meet and make decisions at that time. When you want to put together your stakeholder meetings and stuff like that, what we would probably try to do is just have if it was a couple of board members, and then depending on how many meetings you had, so that that way we could keep breaking it up. So if we put 2 board members in each one of those meetings, it doesn't have to be a public meeting. But I think most of it's going to be you and I meeting with the board on occasion to present our findings.
That sounds great. That's an efficient way to go about it.
Bob?
I'm getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but I'm getting older, so I don't remember as much as I should. You're going to be doing your stakeholder meetings, and I think it would be helpful before you undertake those meetings, assuming we decide to go with you, to put out some questions before you meet, to prepare your audience for what you're going to ask them so they can think about what they want to tell you. I'm speaking for myself mostly here, but some of the issues that have affected us over the years have happened in the past, and the questions may well bring them to the things to the surface that wouldn't come to the surface if you were all of a sudden hit by these questions without having had an opportunity to think about them. And I think you'd improve the quality of your information if you did that.
Yes, I like that. We do, when we set up focus groups, we do give people sort of an overview of what will be discussed. So that you're right, because they will need to kind of process things, and probably they might do their own research. We don't want to lead though, so it's a delicate balance between leading and informing. And so we'll try to do our best to make sure people are informed and that we get a really good sampling of your stakeholder. Focus groups are an opportunity to really, they're quicker than a survey, which you can cover more people if you would do a survey. But with focus groups, you can really have a conversation and understand their perspective a little better. It's more nuanced. So, but it's a really rich opportunity to understand the priorities of your stakeholders and your customers, and really get into the reasons for why they have opinions about your organization. And I'm happy to share what we can do. And if Michael agrees with this, we could, before we do these stakeholder meetings, we could definitely, if the board is interested, share the questions and share the format. If you guys have input, happy to take that.
Did anybody who was at the presentations wanted to make any comments or have any feedback from the session that we had?
Well, I think we have the best option sitting at the table with us right now.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I think it was pretty unanimous. So Jess did a great job in her presentation, and I think Design Lab has a very strong resume. A lot of great campaigns that you all have spearheaded, including a number of rebrands, and you made reference to it, but you had quite a bit of experience working with governmental entities, and I think that was important for us as well, having that level of understanding of the audience, one of our audiences anyway.
Jess, maybe you could, I think Tony was the only one that wasn't at the meeting. Maybe you could send him a few links of some of the rebranding things that you've done, because I think that really helped make our decision very easy. So I'm sure Mike can get you his email.
I would take that too. I didn't make that communications.
Sorry, Erin. I don't
That's
see
all
your
right.
face.
My camera's not working.
I do want to say, I do think the communications committee did a great job. I mean, we were in executive session for over 2 hours, and an hour and some was spent with Jessica. And I think the committee did a great job asking a lot of questions and just making sure that explaining what the MRC's needs would be and the timeline of those needs and what that looks like moving forward. So, I mean, I think we did a great job laying our case out there.
So Mike, what's the next step? The communications committee is kind of done. We've given our recommendation, right?
Yeah, my understanding is if this would be the recommendation, then I would meet with Jessica and execute the scope and an agreement, and start moving forward with immediate communications and the press releases and the constant contact type stuff.
Does the board need to take action to authorize you to enter into a contract? John?
I think it would be in order to do
Yes.
that. Technically, I think it's already approved in the budget, so you could say, yeah, but in the selection, I think perhaps a suggested motion would be to authorize the executive director and or the president acting singly to enter into an engagement letter with Design Lab for marketing outreach purposes, consistent with the scope as proposed.
Is anybody else having audio problems? I didn't get much of what John said.
I can
Said
make
lots of good stuff.
Okay.
He was suggesting
Aaron.
that.
I
he
was ready to
suggesting-
say I'll make that motion, but maybe
Go ahead, can you repeat it, Bob, for Tony's benefit?
I would make the
I'll
motion.
second it. Whatever John said, I'll second it.
Okay.
All right, so I think we need a roll call vote on this. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Melissa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tony? Oh, you already seconded it. Belle?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Bethany?
Yes.
And Robert, you moved it.
Say yes.
Yeah, so it sounds like a unanimous, we'll move forward, or Mike will move forward with Jess at Design Lab.
Thank you for your trust. We're gonna do a heck of a job for you guys.
Thank you for your efforts.
Excellent, excellent. So
Thank
I
you.
think that, that wraps up our meeting for today. Was there anything else we needed to cover that we missed? No. All right, I
Nope.
take a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Jess.
Jess.
Good job, Mike.
Thank you. Goodbye.